Once again, I'd like to give all honors, praises, glories, and thanksgiving to the Most High Lord God YaHaWaH and to His only begotten Son YaHaWaShai, and in the Holy Spirit all through the Paleo Hebrew, Halalata, Barakata, Salalata, Kabawanata, La Ilaha One YaHaWaH, Bahasham, Adonai YaHaWaShai, Bahasham, Rakah, Rawaka, Kwadash, Tawada, thank you. And Shalom, peace, greetings, salutations to the Zaquanium, elders, prophets, forefathers of old coming back in the reincarnation to be in their lot as givers of water, true water, living water, life, bread, wine. That is the scripts, the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Apocrypha. Shalom Tawada, once again, Zaquanium of GMS Great Millstone out of New York, and all the Zaquanium, hopefully elect, hopeful 144,000 males out on the highways and byways and internet information super highway on the four corners of the earth world, also pushing this truth and sincerity and fear of the Most High, praying, fasting, studying, showing thyself approved in the Paleo Hebrew and the Koine Greek. Tawada, Zaquanium and Akim. And shalom to all the sincere Israelites who sincerely want the salvation of Israel's elect and sincerely want the death, the condemnation, the pain of our enemies to scream as we destroy them with the power of YaHaWaShai as he breaks through the clouds. Shalom, this is Brother Sharath one more time. Still going on my series of food and water, what it is and what it ain't. Literal food and water. Literal hamburgers, literal steaks, literal H2O, Aquafina, Propel, vitamin water, whatever. I'm talking about literal food ain't literally shit. It's all about the Rawak Kardashian spirit, and this is high spiritual metaphorical meat because not even 1/3 are gonna get it. And it's only for the hopeful elect because you need a lot of faith in YaHaWaH YaHaWaShai through the Ruach Kodesh to make you get through the Jacob's trouble, whether you're going to get through it alive or dead. But one of the stumbling blocks is going to be the mark of the animal, the serpent strike, the dragon's fang, in so much that it is going to allow you to get food and water. That's the only reason people are going to take that RFID chip is for food and water, not for going out to the club, not for grabbing yourself a bag of cocaine or fucking going to the strip club. It's for food and water. So the end is going to be one of the big swords is famine, along with multiple beasts and wars and the sword. Famine is one of the three or one of the top four of the most death-giving blows that YaHaWaH YaHaWaShai is going to send. Why? And because not only Hebrew Israelites, but all of the world, especially all the world, but also some of the Hebrew Israelites have started to have begun and have always worshipped food and water. Your belly is your God. Your belly is your stomach. All right. So what I'm trying to say through all these slides is that the hopeful elect men are going to trust in YaHaWaH YaHaWaShai through the Ruach Kodesh 100%, even to the point of not eating for a couple of weeks to 1 or 2 months in the end times, knowing that YaHaWaH has got you and knowing that if you're still alive, YaHaWaH is working with you, and he might give you food because his servants shall eat in the end time. Doesn't mean all of them. Doesn't even mean most of them. Could YaHaWaH could be merciful and graceful to the house of David and give every one of his hopeful elect in the end times food until YaHaWaShai breaks through the clouds. But I have perceived that while some of us might be saved and feel no pain, some of us are going to get our heads chopped off. Some of us are going to have to go without food or water. I don't know if some of us are going to die in the famine, being still hopeful elect. If that's the lot YaHaWaH gives us, then that's the lot YaHaWaH gives us. But I believe more than anything, YaHaWaH is either going to save his elect or have their heads cut off or have them killed for the word and for the testimony of YaHaWaH YaHaWaShai. So, as my first 2 or 3 slides went into how food and water isn't shit, it's pretty much demonic and possessive if you don't treat it with respect. You do need food, you do need water. This is not an anti-food, anti-water slide or presentation. That's just stupid. I have 8 years, once again, of biology in college, going for genetics, even though I count it all as dung and all of it is satanic pretty much. I still know the basics of some biological fucking systems for the body and how food and water interact. You do need food and water to survive. It's the means how we get our sugars and how we get our energy. But you don't need to sit down and worship the shit, because if you do, you end up obese or with diabetes. or you end up killing someone or someone killing you for stealing the shit. Food is what I'm talking about. So, food ain't shit, and it can be downright demonic and possessive, and I've given you so many scripts, specifically with the Hebrew Israelites in the wilderness, talking shit to YaHaWaH, YaHaWaH, and here I continue the last verse I got of how Israel specifically was talking shit to YaHaWaH because they were saying that YaHaWaH wasn't giving them food or water, even though YaHaWaH was giving them manna, which is probably nutriently the best thing ever created, because the angel is the food of angels, and they did have enough water. They just were wanting, like today's people, just waste it by the gallons. Drink water when you don't even need to drink water. Believe me, people, you don't need to drink as much water as you think you need to drink water. That's just ignorance, man. You're trying to drown yourself. And so I have one more verse to go into and to prove that food and water ain't shit, and if you fucking bitch about it long enough, it'll become your god, and you will fucking give up on the real true YaHaWaH, YaHaWaH, Ruach Kodash, and fellow humans, and will start to be a murderous bastard over food and water in the end times. Thus you will eat your own children and your own people. So Exodus 17:1, and all the children and all the congregation of the children of YaHaWaH journeyed from the wilderness of sin after their journeys according to the commandment of YaHaWaH, and pitched in Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. Now once again, I just went through this in my last slide. There was water for the people to drink. It wasn't a test from YaHaWaH. YaHaWaH had given them water. This is the third or fourth episode in the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of Moses, and where it specifically the people of Israel chide or fucking bitch at Moses and Aaron and YaHaWaH because they don't have quote unquote water to drink. Then why the fuck are they alive? How are they alive if they truly don't have any water to drink? They're lying like the fucking pieces of shit that our forefathers were. Alright, nowadays you see some fat piece of shit say that they're fucking starving to death and that they don't have any money for food. Well, why are you a fat piece of shit? How is it that you're 200 pounds overweight if you truly don't have any food or money for food? You're goddamn liars, Yasharallah, and the Lord's gonna come and repay you back first. Wherefore the people did chide with Moses and said, give us water that we may drink. And Moses said unto them, why chide ye with me? Wherefore do you tempt YaHaWaH? So they weren't talking shit to Moses, they're talking shit to YaHaWaH, even though they had stuff to drink. And the people there thirsted for water, quote unquote thirsted, because they weren't fucking dying. And the people murmured against Moses. Murmured means bitching, so they weren't thirsting as in dying for water. They just wanted a lot of water to waste. Once again, today, in today's modern world, motherfucking Esau tells you to eat 1 billion cups of water. That's not right. You don't need that much water. And in the end times, if that amount of water that you're intaking is taken away from you, you're gonna die faster than anybody else, man, because you done relied on literal water to save you, and it's not. Wherefore is this that thou hast brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? Moses cried unto YaHaWaH, YaHaWaH, saying, what shall I do unto this people that they be almost ready to stone me? And YaHaWaH said unto Moses, go on before the people and take with thee of the elders of Israel and thy rod with thy Moses the river, take into thy hand, and go in before I will stand, and behold, I will stand before thee there upon the rock in Horeb, and thou shalt smite the rock, and there shall come water out of it, that thy people may drink. And Moses did so in the sight of the elders of YaHaWaH. And here's the point, and he called the name Massa and Meribah, because the chiding of the children of Israel, because they tempted YaHaWaH, YaHaWaH, saying, is YaHaWaH, YaHaWaH among us or not? Even though they had the very necessities that they had, the very basics, and YaHaWaH himself with YaHaWaH in the UFO pillar cloud was following them, taking care of them, they still were bitching, because that's what Israel is, a bunch of bitches. And I ain't talking about women, I'm talking about the men. Masa, to strive against, to raise up. It actually means to raise up, to tempt. Comes from Masa, which comes from Nasa, which means to rise up, to raise up. That means to attempt, to prove, to assay, to tempt, to prove. It keeps going. Nasa comes from another Hebrew word which is the same pronunciation, Nasa, or sometimes pronounced Nasha, which means to lift up, to raise up. So you're lifting up your head against the Most High, and you're trying to test and prove Him. You're pretty much sticking your chest out and puffing yourself up to YaHaWaH, the creator of all creation, and saying, you ain't taking care of us. That's ass backwards. So yeah, Masa, temptation, to test, to prove, to raise your head up in contempt, in defiance of Yasharallah. And Rayab, Ma Rayab, which means to strive, contend. to strive, contention, to fight against, ma'rayab, and that also comes from rayab, which is to strive, contend as well, but it comes from a root word called rab, which means to be great. It's where the word we get rabbi from, the great one, Lord Master. So once again, you're trying to say that you're greater than YaHaWaH and you're bigger than YaHaWaH. Ma'rayab, from the contention, from the strife, or from the greatness that which you think you are, going against YaHaWaH and His law, statutes, and commandments for some stupid water and some stupid food. Point is, don't worship food and water. It's too easy. Apparently, it's not easy enough though. And now for my last couple of minutes, I'm going to go into my third slide, which now I'm going to lean off of talking about how food and water can be demonic and possessive and full of shit. And I'm going to go to the opposite route and say how the word of the Lord, doing the law, statutes, commandments, praising, praying, thanking YaHaWaH, YaHaWaH for your life in general, for your photonic life force, which is a fire, light energy, which is in the fourth dimension. You learn about it in particle physics. That's what's holding us up, not actual food and water. Food and water only holds up the physical counterpart of us, our flesh and blood, bones and whatnot. But fire, the electricity that runs through our veins, is actually spirit force, the spirit of the YaHaWaH, which is what all spirits are made out of, just pure energy, which does not need sugars or water or anything, carbohydrates or none of that garbage. It's just pure energy. So the word, which is the sword of the Lord, is what gives us our energy, and is what's going to save us in the end time if we have faith in YaHaWaH to the death. So I've got about 5 scripts here in which I will prove that the sword of the Lord is what gives us life and is what we should follow, not food and water. Food and water, literal food and literal water, is secondary, if that. The spirit and the law, statutes, commandments is life. Faith in YaHaWaH, YaHaWaH is life. And here I have Karab la YaHaWaH, the sword of YaHaWaH, and Madabar ma YaHaWaH, the plague of YaHaWaH. So it's the sword of YaHaWaH or the plague power of YaHaWaH. Madabar can mean many things. It does mean wilderness, but it also can mean to command, to lead. It means plague, it means strike, it means matter. So, Deuteronomy 8:3, and he humbled thee, Eliyahu YaHaWaH, and suffered thee to hunger, and fed thee with manna, and suffered thee to hunger, not really suffering you to actually be starving to death, because it goes on to say, and fed thee with manna, which thou knewest not, neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doth not live by bread only, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of Eliyahu YaHaWaH doth man live. So he said, suffer thee to hunger, and then fed thee with manna, which means the only reason we would actually be starving or have not that much food in the wilderness is because of our own disobedience and our own stubbornness. So if at any time we actually were starving or thirsty in the wilderness, it was our own fault. But I perceive, and I pretty sure know through the Ruach Kodesh, that none of us were starving or any of that shit. That we were just being bitches and wanted to go back to Egypt, to daddy, to fucking Satan, like most of us do here. Everyone wants to come to America. That's the home of Satan. Why would you come to the place of the person that's destroying the world? Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell these 40 years. Not only did they have food and water, their actual materials, their actual donkeys and all that shit didn't get old, didn't get fucked up. YaHaWaH was with us 100%, 100% of the way, and yet we still bitched at the most basic things, food and water. And I'm going to leave with this last point, Deuteronomy 8:15, who led thee through the great and terrible wilderness, YaHaWaH YaHaWaH, leading the Israelites, wherein were fiery serpents, scorpions, and drought, where there was no water, who brought thee forth water out of the flint of rock. Now, if there truly was no water, and let's just say that there was no water, so YaHaWaH could prove us. The way he was proving us is if we either have faith in him by not saying anything and him giving us water because he cares for us, or that we were going to pipe up first and talk shit and say, where's the water? saying that we didn't have any faith in YaHaWaH YaHaWaH. So even if there was no water, we should have shut it up because YaHaWaH was going to give us water. Instead, we talked shit to Moses, who went to YaHaWaH, who made Moses do something. Moses screwed it up, and even Moses couldn't go into the promised land because of our bitching. So water and food ain't shit. Until next one, shalom.